Hello everyone. In this video, I just wanted to go over reading order flow. I get tons of questions on it, so I just wanted to cover a bit more about what I'm deciphering when I'm looking at the footprint charts, a few different details, why I don't really use heat maps so much, and so yeah, let's just dive into it from there. Which is what you're seeing now is a generic footprint chart. This is a range chart as well, and I'll be talking about absorption, by the way, in relation to footprint charts. And you know, most people think, for example, that you can only see absorption via what you can see really on the right, which is like the DOM, maybe a heat map, preferably a DOM, because what you'll see on the DOM is the limit orders on the left and the right, the bid, the ask, and then they're getting hit by these market orders. And the footprint chart only shows you these market orders, okay? So the footprint is only showing you these market orders, but you must remember that for every single seller there's a buyer. So for example, when you see this down here, so on the left hand side you got the sells, right hand side you got the buys. When you're seeing that there's 52 million sells going on, right, that means that there's someone on the opposing side who's eating that up through the depth of market, right, who's eating that order up. Same here, same here. Those orders are getting eaten up. Does that mean an instant opportunity to just buy and follow that momentum? No. I really do recommend that I'm not focusing on every single element and tick and bar of this footprint. I'm really still doing all my analysis through TradingView, okay? And then when I want to come and look at my level of interest, then I go, what's going on via the footprint? And this could have been one of the levels here where you have this resting liquidity down here. You see this low, it's resting down there. And then all of a sudden, and I'll break this down in really big detail, you see a ton of negative delta coming in. So this is highlighted via delta, by the way. I'm going to share this exact template in the description, so be sure to check that out. But you can see here delta cluster, delta base. These are all my settings that I've been really just fine tuning, etc. And this is an aggregated footprint, by the way. So you've got what you have right here is Binance and Bybit combined on top of the Bybit flow. So you've got Bybit chart essentially with Binance footprint data inside as well. So, and you can add as many pairs as you like. I just use Bybit and Binance, to be honest. So yeah, that's interesting. And this is on dollars. So anyway, we have this resting liquidity level. People are selling into it, eating up. And at what point do I decide to enter? Well, you have to wait for at least these people here to be put offside fairly quickly. You don't want to really be stalling and continuing heading down whilst leaving these guys in an onside position. I'm going to dive into this a bit further in a second, because yeah, I'll dive into this in a second. I won't really go over it too much for this moment. But if you just go over to here, I would say, look, as soon as this candle here is closed above, so you've got excessive negative delta here. Again, keep in mind that there's people on the opposing side buying this. Okay, as soon as you get up here, these short positions, whether they be new shorts or positions closing, preferably you'd want to see new shorts, which is what we do see here, and I'll talk you through how we can decipher that in a moment even further. You then get this move back up and these shorts are offside, and that allows for fuel for a bigger move to the upside. And again, your entry trigger, or my entry trigger in this case, is literally upon this candle closing up here, invalidation back below this low. And it's as simple as that, to be honest. I wanted to break down, in essence as well, the T size filtering here, because what you're seeing here through all this footprint and most other softwares will show every single order, which is fair enough, and this is what this is showing. But you can also have filtering on the same chart here, at least. So what I like to do is, you can see my T size settings, and I've got 6.3, 9.1 million, etc. And you can see here that orders over 9.1 million will light up here, okay, and you could see any sort of large specific order that comes in will feel, one single order will light up here. So what we can do here actually is, using this, we'll go to use the replay from here, and we'll put it to 5x, and we'll rewind, okay? And you can see here what's going on with the footprint in real time, where you can see that you got this massive, open interest increasing to the max, negative delta. This short's just come in and piled in. By the way, I'll do a quick trivia here for if you're watching this. Why is this 23 million must have occurred within this part here? It's because it's the only side on the left where there's even any sort of volume beyond 23 million, right? So this negative delta has occurred by actually one single seller, open interest increasing or they could have been decreasing. This is, you can't tell this specific order that easily unless you're going even deeper, which you can do with this actually, which I'll show you in a minute. But this specific order, for example, one order, 23 million, is really lighting this up here and telling me that it's really pushing price down and getting eaten up. That's one single player factually telling me that just through that. So if we then continue, again, you see new shorts coming. Look at this. Open interest increasing, negative shorts. And again, I'll show you as well. So what you can see here, I've highlighted this on the chart, but you can see we've got these green and white lines. The green one being, I believe, Binance. Yeah. So you can have, we discussed this aggregated footprint, but also you can decipher, okay, which exchange is doing this open interest increase. And you can see here that the open interest increase largely on this one is coming from Binance. So you've got Binance largely increasing in open interest, causing this massive spike up, and that's probably likely due to someone newly entering shorts or a collective of individuals entering shorts newly there. So as we continue on, again, the level hasn't been breached yet, but you're getting people shorting towards the low, towards the low already. And this is happening at 10x speed. So in real time, you still have a lot more time on your hands. Anyways, again, still continuing down, negative delta increasing. Again, it's not one single order really lighting this up yet. Nothing still going on. And at this point, I'm still really not too interested. And this is playing on 10x speed. And you can see it below how long it actually would have taken. So this candle here printed in 43 seconds, 1 minute. So you've got 5 minutes plus going on here. And then we're going to, let's focus here. So you're focusing now at this point. You've got this massive, these two filters, where you've got the people largely getting their orders eaten up aggressively by pushing this down. Again, this is called absorption. Like, factually, this is called absorption, because otherwise this 98 million order wouldn't have got filled within this tick zone. It would have pushed through multiple, and you wouldn't have seen this this one specific block highlighted so aggressively. Okay, so these are getting eaten up. These are getting eaten up, and otherwise it would have spread through the books. This is why I don't necessarily need to see the heat map. Again, the heat map is good if you want to see people flashing orders here, flashing orders there. They put an order in a book, they pull it. They put an order in a book, they pull it. And you can see it in a nice heat map style. By the way, if you're going to use a heat map, I'd recommend Bookmap, if any of them. I'd really just recommend Bookmap out of them all. Again, you can see all of that spoofing, etc. via the DOM as well. Live DOM is what I'd prefer to use, honestly. And what a lot of my professional friends, we all want to have a group of discussion with them. We're all really using the DOM at, if we're using the DOM at most, we're using the footprint. So again, just hitting this button here, continuing going on. And then again, at this point here, so look, this is closed, and all of a sudden, right? So let's just count. Price coming to a level, and I'm observing this in real time. 43 seconds, a minute. Let's say now let's add these two together. So you've got 2 minutes worth of this, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes. And on the 6th minute, that's when I then look to enter. So that's not like happening in a flash. It just 5 to 6 minutes, or sometimes 3 to 6, 7 minutes of just continuous understanding of the flow, what's going on, when these orders are put offside. And as soon as I get this here, I'm saying, look, these are offside, these are offside, these are offside. Let's now look for a push to the upside, really. Otherwise, the idea in the order flow section is gone off. Now, I'd also really keep in mind here that I'm not just looking at this at a random level, as I've just mentioned. This is specifically, down at the lows. If you're looking at trading views, like down here, you're looking specifically at a level where this occurs. You're not just randomly taking part, looking at the order flow wherever it is and saying this. I'm planning through trading view, through exo charts, the levels, and then I'm coming into them when price comes into it at the time, and I'm monitoring the order flow at that level. Okay, so let's just continue. Again, you then eventually get the push up, but the sense was that you've seen this. That is your point of entry and your valuation down there. But just to get you an understanding of your flow there, again, you hit stop, and you can go back to this. What I'd also recommend as well. So what I'll show you a few different things here. If we clone this chart, let it load up. I'm kind of freestyling this now, but I thought it'd be still kind of useful for people to watch this in the future or whatnot. What I wanted to discuss was if we go back to the same zone, which is exactly down here, delete one of these, we can actually now start, instead of using the delta clusters, if you want, we'll call this open interest. Now this is this is even more important to some extent. If you can get your head wrapped around this and really choose which one you want to use. I prefer to just look at the open interest bars at the bottom and go, look, open interest is increasing into this level of net negative delta. People are shorting, they're offside, go for it. And I'd recommend that. But also, just for those that want to dig a bit deeper into no matter what way that you want to be trading, etc., what you can do is change the cluster type to like open interest based, removed versus created, for example. Okay. Now, this is really, really interesting because all of a sudden, if we just pick up, where is this? Let's change this to something like this. Okay. And we can change the text to delta. Okay, so where we saw those flashes in the pan of massive net aggressive delta, we can now decide, was that position, like I said, that individual position, is it positions closing or is it new ones entering? Okay, just through understanding net delta, open interest, okay, at each individual price level, open interest profiles, okay. I've done a video on this, go watch it again, but I'm going to still discuss it here because it's still important in this sense. Because what I want to do is on the left, again, this is complete mismatch. Ignore the text for now. On the left-hand side, we have open interest removed. On the right-hand side, we have open interest created, i.e. positions being removed, exiting, positions entering on the right. We can change it to that text type so you can see open interest removed versus created, okay? What I will do is change it to a net delta maybe. Use net calculations. So you can see generally, okay, at this level, positions are being removed here, positions are being added, etc. So if we just go down to here, change this to delta. So again, keep that in mind what I just said, and now look at the text type in correspondence with that open interest cluster type, and now you can really decipher what's going on. I.e., do you remember when we had this minus 54, that's fine. So minus 42 million as was discussed here. This position is likely decreasing in open interest. Okay, again, this position is likely actually exiting. So this is a position closing. Whereas this one here, on the other hand, you got minus 54 million. Okay, this isn't one individual order, this one, but this collective of orders being absorbed at this level, as shown by the delta before and in here, not via highlighting, but just via text itself, you can see very clearly that the open interest is actually increasing at this level. So this is categorically telling me that there's not just, everyone just really focuses on delta and open interest, on delta and, delta on its own. But in reality, delta has to be correspondent or using correlation with open interest to decipher what's going on with their actual positioning. Because when you have fresh positions being trapped, that's extra likelihood for it to be, when they're put offside, to actually fuel the market in the opposite position a lot further, right? Because let's think about it. And I'm diving quite deep here, which I haven't really done in a while, and I thought I really would do it. This person here who's exited this position, potentially, as we're just saying here, they've exited. There is no, you've closed the position. You're less likely to have fuel to, let's say you want to get back in. Okay, you get back in. That's a potential opportunity. But on the other hand, if you're trapped already down here and price puts you offside, you want to exit, allowing for fuel to the upside. So when you get that move back above here, for example, minus 54 million, when price gets up here, these new shorts, as we've just literally just discussed, right, they're put offside position, and you can see major fuel for the upside because some of them exit and then others will exit, and it just causes this flurry, and that's what you get, a short squeeze. Okay, so that is part of, and that's if you get the short squeeze. To see a short squeeze, you see a general decrease in open interest, but that could be the start of a short squeeze potentially, at least very, very locally, which then leads to a bigger one later on. So that is how you really dive into that stuff. Open interest, delta, etc. Again, what you can do is go to data source, and you can actually say filter small trades. Okay, and what we can do is say, okay, I only want to see trades of 6.3 million. Let's apply and rebuild and above. We might have to do a bit of tinkering here, but I thought I'd make a bit of a longer video going over this stuff because why not? Color, and all of a sudden now we can only see the orders and the places in time where those large orders were present. Okay, again, I'd recommend probably changing this now to delta cluster, but now we can change it to bid ask. Okay, so we can now see people getting involved here, people getting involved, and we can really highlight where these large orders are coming in. Okay, because before I have it in the T size down here, it shows me the candle, but I can also see if I wanted to where it's coming in specifically if I filter for that. Again, let's go back to our example. you have that large order coming in there. Again, if I filtered it again, data source filter, let's change it to 3.1 million, apply and rebuild. Again, you can see what's going on here with these, these are still like fairly large orders, 3.1 million plus coming in. Again, this is just an exceptionally large order size coming in. And again, you can change these ones as well. So there's so many different ways to highlight and filter different sizes of trades. This is, again, is my go-to really setup, to be honest. I'm really rocking this. And again, you can't see it right now, but on the right hand side, I have where those large orders are coming in. So it's a CPR. I've covered this in another video. It's the exact same as what's going on at the bottom, essentially, but I'm getting the idea of, let's just break it down. So 20 million here. So you can see here the beyond 9.1 million in sales coming in here, for example, in this candle. So I'd go, okay, these sales are coming in here, but where are they coming in? And then I can look to the right and go, look, they're coming in here. So this 105 million, this 20 million sell order is specifically one part of that 105 million net sell on the sell side there. So that's what I use that for. And that goes back and, I can have that set to a set rolling period, day developing 2. So I've got that set to, 2 days, and it will stack up there so I can see where large orders are across the last 2 days or so. And that's what I like to do, again, replaying back and going through it in that sense. But I really just wanted to say, I've just showed you and really discussed in great detail there how positions are getting absorbed, eaten up, put offside, etc. And, I really haven't gone over any sort of heat map functionalities because these are orders that are coming in. Heat map, yes, they're great, but they only show resting orders, similar to what I'm seeing on the DOM here. I can tell you that there's an order here. If I wanted to, I could add the pull stack column, which will then show me what's being removed, what's being added to that column on a frequent basis. But in reality, what's actually happening is, for example, you might get someone who's, and this, heat maps will not show you this. They will not show you if, for example, you've got someone who's got 10 million buy, placing the bid for a very small order, for example, who's just iceberging up, right? So they're slowly getting their orders filled, and you can't see that through the heat map. Whereas through here, for example, if you've got that pause in price, you've got that aggression in delta, that is showing that someone's orders or collective of orders are getting eaten up at that specific price block. I just wanted to cover that. Hopefully you found that somewhat useful, different to what I usually go over. But yeah, I'll leave this template in the description. Thank you all for watching.